Welcome back. W week here locally on the hardwoods, and certainly the Maryland Terps playing at the Royal Farms Arena on Saturday. I want to give them some love, some real fresh, real fast. Make sure you're downloading the Royal Farms app, using that when you're pumping your gas. You'll get your chicken and your Western fries free of charge when you add up your points. Don't forget, they got eggnog there as well. They are our sponsor, and the Terps will be headed to the house that the world-famous fried chicken built downtown. Robert Kennedy is down at Compass Point Golf doing the golf thing, but is our basketball insider. He spent some time with Towson last week as well as watching the Terps, I should say. Before they get here, they go to Purdue, and Robert Kennedy can be followed at Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. Always good to have you on, and I know you're waiting for the first good day to get out there and hit the golf ball, but watching a lot of basketball, and the Terps, based on what they did against Virginia last week, picking up the win against Penn State on Saturday night when everybody else was watching college football at that point, this is a big test for the Terps, and certainly an interesting period to get ready for the Big Ten, where I think they're going to be competitive this year, Robert.
I definitely do too, Nestor, and first off, you got me on that Royal Farms. I'm wondering I'll be down there for that Maryland game. I hope they have the Royal Farms chicken in the media room. That would be
two
nice.
blocks away. 2 blocks away. All you got to do is go stop down where the old Burks was. You can get your fried chicken.
Yeah.
That's my location as well. So I can assure you the Western fries are fresh.
Yeah, but no, it was a good start to the Big Ten conference season with the win over Penn State. And after the Virginia game, it was funny. Turgeon was quickly turning the page to that. He was very adamant not to minimize the Virginia game or the loss there, but he said, really, it all really starts counting on Saturday against Penn State. And, it was they played a really good second half, ended up shooting 58% and, overcame a 1-point deficit at halftime. So Jalen Smith had a really good game, and Bruno Fernando had another double-double, which he's had several of those this year. So, good performance by the big guys, and that's what they're going to need against Purdue on Thursday. So, and throughout the rest of the conference season. So it was definitely a good opener for them in the conference.
Well, not to get ahead of myself, but I've already taken some time to look at the Terps' schedule later in the year, and I mean, it's just sort of gangbusters, right, this Big Ten. And as much as we talk about the ACC and all the years at Duke and North Carolina and having to deal with that, there are a lot of really good teams in the Big Ten, and they're all well thought of. And there are more teams in the top 25 than I've seen, quite frankly, in recent time. From Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Nebraska. I mean, they're going to be playing a ranked team 4 out of every 5 nights for 2 months. I mean, at least ranked for now, which means these are all credible teams, and Maryland's going to have to figure out where they sit in all of this.
Yeah, and that's quite a departure from what we've had the last few years, where everyone talked about, it's a down year for the Big Ten, or the Big Ten is weak, and and then they would get strong at the end of the season. Excuse me, which they were tending to do with the Michigan States, and Michigan always playing well at the end. So, like you said, you've got those, and you've got Wisconsin in there, as well as Maryland, now being ranked, and Nebraska right behind them. So it is definitely a very tough conference, and with all those road games, they do have to make some long trips out to Nebraska and everything, as opposed to when they were on the East Coast with the ACC. So it's a grind of a schedule. It's starting earlier this year than in the past, and it was good to get it with a win, and they have a really tough road game coming up, as we already alluded to. So,
Purdue's gotten bounced out of the top 25 because they've lost 3 out of their last 4. They keep playing ranked teams and losing. They lost to Virginia Tech. They lost to Florida State on a buzzer, and then they got they kind of got annihilated by Michigan. And maybe that should speak to us, not about where Purdue is, but maybe where Michigan is, right?
Absolutely, and Michigan has had some really good performances and everything this year. So it's. Once it gets into the heat of that in January, that conference season, it's every night they're going to be beaten up. Someone's going to be beaten up on someone, and no one's going to run away with it. And there's, you're going to have, you could have a Rutgers jump up and beat someone after, you come off with a couple tough games, road trip and everything. So that's the fun of conference season, and I think Maryland is better suited for it this year than they have been in the past. And they're bigger and they're stronger, and they've got these freshmen who are, getting some playing time in the non-conference season, and Turgeon wants to get them some more, and they're growing, and Ayala and Wiggins and everything, and Smith has performed. So think 5 of their top, 8 players are freshmen. So it's, they're going to be thrown to the fire for sure.
And once again, all the scouts are out, early in the year that you start to ask, well, how long is Sticks going to be around here, right? I mean, when they have the frame and they have the game, you don't feel like, well, we have next year with Bruno Fernando and Jalen Smith. It might not be any next year, right? Depends how this year goes.
Yeah, and that's something, seems like every year there's one of those they have, whether it was Trimble or whether it was Justin Jackson, and, this year Sticks. And so and Fernando definitely is probably, already anticipated not to be back. But, it's a short window for sure.
You were with the Towson Tigers, and and I know of your affinity, but they're definitely on the scuffle. And I know Vermont has sort of come in and cleaned everybody's clock around here, right?
Yeah, that was definitely a tough test for Towson down there last week, and Vermont. Excuse me. Sorry, Vermont was on a middle of a little road trip of the DMV, and they had played at George Washington and won. Beat Towson, and then they went down earlier in the week and beat George Mason down in Fairfax. So, the little A10, a couple A10 wins and a CAA win was definitely good for them. And, as we've talked about before when we talked about UMBC, they're definitely the favorite in the American East Conference, and they showed why with this trip down here. And, against Towson, they were very good. And Towson played a good game. They got down by 17 or 18, and they came back and cut it to 4 a couple times and just couldn't get any closer. So it was just one of those things where they ran into a tough spell coming out of the half. And, they're still trying to put all their pieces together. And, Pat's got a bunch of new pieces there. They're not all freshmen. It's a combination of freshmen and junior college transfers. And, it looks like they have a real good player in Brian Fobbs, who, 2 games in a row in the last week has gone for 25. So, but beyond that, they're still looking to see what other pieces are going to fit in and, give them some scoring.
Robert Kennedy joining us here, talking all things local, hoops and hardwood. You can find him down at Compass Point Golf. When the weather's good, you can still hit the golf ball. 36 holes in Pasadena, and you're having an event maybe next year, next spring, an outing, or you just want to hit the ball down at Pasadena. Robert's the guy to see down there. He is Buckets and Birds out on Twitter, spends the summers and the springs talking golf with us, and spends most of the winter talking basketball with us, including UMBC, where they went on the scuffle a little bit, losing a couple of games, and got themselves right against Coppin State. I don't know if this is going to be as powerful a team as last year, but this is certainly the underbelly of the schedule, and they get to see Towson next week as well.
And before that, they'll be up at Drexel over the weekend, and that'll be interesting to see the result of that one. From a couple aspects, it'll give us an idea of what Drexel's going to do in the CAA this year, or what they'll look like, and it'll be a chance for UMBC to go up and pick up a good road win, coming off the win of Coppin the other night as well. And then, getting back to the local crosstown rivalries, which we like to talk so much about, they'll play Towson next Tuesday night, the 11th. So that'll definitely be, that's when Towson has owned all these local teams over the last, I think they've won 15 in a row, against the Morgans, the Coppins, and the UMBCs and Loyolas. UMBC is not as tough as they were last year, but, with Towson kind of being in a transition year, if you will, that'll definitely be a chance for UMBC to end that streak, and will definitely be a good one to watch.
Coppin State and Juan Dixon going after UMBC on Monday night. That game was heard here on WNST.net as well as AM 1570 with our partners at Coppin State and the Mighty Eagles. I don't know where it goes when you're trying to turn a program around, and Juan signed up for it, and it's always hard to win these early games. I know he's tried to tone down the schedule a little bit. The UMBC game was about as close as they've come to winning, right? And they're going to have, MEAC gets going, about 4 weeks here. Between now and then, they're going to Notre Dame, they're going to Houston, they're going down to Richmond and playing this week as well. That'll be heard as well on WNST.net. For them, getting a win and building some sort of momentum to win a couple of games this year, that's got to be where it is for Juan, right?
Yeah, these, as we've talked about, these tough non-conference, bye games that they played, from a financial standpoint, every year that. Where it's really going to be told for them is in the conference season. Last year, they went in, and it took them a while before they won their first conference game, and I think he fully expects to be more competitive in the MEAC this year than they were last year, and we'll find that out the first Saturday in January when they get a home game to open conference season. So that's a nice, after being on the road for the entire month of, November and December, that'll be a nice way to open the conference season with a couple early home games. I think they open with just one home game, 3 of the first 4 are at home, so that'll be a chance for them to kind of get off to a good start and get right in the conference season. And we'll see how they stack up then. From talking to Juan earlier in the year, he's more confident about this year's team and feels that they'll be very competitive in that conference.
Well, Loyola being the other local team, and you mentioned them taking on Towson a couple weeks ago as well. They're going to see Maryland in a couple weeks down in Maryland as well. I guess that'll be the one time we hear about Loyola. We don't hear as much about Loyola since Jimmy Patsos left, right? And both of those programs, Loyola, Towson, new coaches coming in, inheriting really programs in disrepair. Loyola's trying to pick itself back up here as they pick up some games during December. Games that they're going to go on the road to Drexel, they're going to Binghamton, they're going to Maryland. They're just on the road the whole month, man. I don't expect them to win, right?
Yeah, they're heading into a really tough stretch before their conference season. Jimmy Patsos, it's back that was before the conference switch. Now that they're in the Patriot, they've always been a good academic school, but they're probably on a different level now, in the different recruiting and scholarships and everything of the Patriot, versus their previous conference. So
it's a step up. I don't think there's any doubt about that, right? I mean, when you're in there playing Navy a couple times a year, playing Bucknell, Colgate, this is a different pedigree for them.
Absolutely, and it's it's been a struggle, and Tavares there's his first year, and he's still finding his way, and they picked up a couple wins, and they've been kind of up and down, and they'll play, like you said, down at Maryland, and they'll get beat by a lot, but they've got the Drexel and the UMass Lowell, and as you said, NC State, so a couple chances for some wins before they get into Patriot season, and it'll be interesting to see how they do along with Navy, who's another on the fringes of our area here, who we watch them from time to time as well. And Navy is probably going to be picked in the middle of that pack as well. They've had a couple good, impressive looking performances, but I think Loyola will be okay in the long run. It may not be this year, but I like what Tavares is doing there, and some of the pieces he's putting together. The kid they've got, the guard, I think. Ketchko, if I may get his name wrong, he looks like he's going to be a star in the Patriot League and everything. He lit up Towson for 30 points, and so he's going to compete very well in that conference.
Appreciate the time as always. Tell me what you're doing down there at Compass Point, because I know you're working through these winter days, looking for cracks of spring and sunshine. But it hasn't been that awful. It's been okay lately, especially over the weekend. It was nice on Saturday and Sunday, right?
Yeah, we had some nice weather earlier in the week, and we had people out there in shorts and everything taking advantage of it. So, but yeah, during the action doesn't stop maybe on the course, but it moves inside where everyone's booking their outings for the spring and the summer, and we've got some special offers if they book them during the month of December. They can call me and find all about them. As far as get some extra value added to their outings, that'll help them raise funds for their charity and organization that they're putting on the tournaments for. So those will all begin in full earnest in April, but, the planning for them starts now, and, my contact information is on the website at compasspointgolf.com, so they can reach out to me there.
I'll be seeing the Christmas decorations down there before too long. When I get back from my trip, you and I will get together. I've been trying to get down to Pasadena for a month. I'll get down there and visit with you. Always great to visit with you here on the radio, and I'm sure our paths will cross at a college basketball game at some point between now and the new year.
Absolutely, I'm sure they will, and I appreciate you not bringing up the Redskins this week. It was a tough one Monday night. So
well, I poop tweeted Dan Snyder on Monday night. I hope you saw that, right?
I did see that. I actually did see that. So,
yeah, I didn't even read that one on the air. I probably, some of my best work goes directly to Twitter. It skips the radio, but there was the point where he was happy in the up in the owner's box, and I tweeted out, I've decided that anything in life that makes Daniel Snyder happy is something I should unilaterally oppose. Worst dude in sports. He's young, and he's here to torture and offend Redskins fans. That's you, Rob. For a long, long time. Live well, D.C., and hail your creepy NFL owner. How about that?
Yeah, we've had 20 years of it. So, yeah, that one shining moment Monday night was the 90-yard run by Peterson, which you knew he had that left in him. But, Yeah, so
You
anyway,
didn't get to 100, but I've had Peter Angelos here 25 years. Don't cry for me. And by the way, I'm just sure the two good-looking boys are here to fix things. I've been assured of that from everybody in Dundalk. So yes.
Well, that's good to hear. We'll stand by and see if that's the case. So.
I've recommended Astro Ball. That's all I can do for you, Rob. Take care of yourself, man. Have a great week and enjoy the hardwoods.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Robert Kennedy out on the hardwoods doing all things local college basketball at Buckets and Birds on Twitter as well as at WNST.net. And we'll be retweeting him as he gets out and watches some basketball. The Terps down at the Royal Farms Arena this week as well, taking on Loyola of Chicago as well as the local matchup there as well. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram. It's streaming live on our Facebook Live as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We're out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. You can listen to any of our segments anytime you want, anywhere you want. Go to the buyatoyota.com audio vault. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.